One of the many lessons of Kraven the Hunter is that rated R graphic violence does not necessarily mean your movie is going to be good. Oh, no, it doesn't. So anyway, let's review Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter stars Aaron Taylor Johnson, Russell Crowe, and is directed by J.C. Chandor.
Whoever is righteous,
hunting for a trophy.
let him be righteous still.
Just like our father.
When the man comes around.
What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new 2024 review. We are going to review the many times delayed Kraven the Hunter. It was delayed more than once, right? Starring Aaron Taylor Johnson. And this is the last Marvel Sony cluster F. Can I say fuck yet? Has it been? Yeah. It's a big old clusterfuck is what it is of a movie. And boy, you can see the mess that this movie is on screen pretty quickly. Yeah, I'm kind of like just diving into this review. I don't even have like any notes or anything. All I can tell you is that I went and saw this last night, and boy, was this an ordeal. This was quite. I didn't expect what I got. I don't know the words that are going to come out of my mouth next. Also, this review will be dedicated to my newest DCAP patron member, Daniel Wetherell. He's also a channel member. Thank you, Daniel. And he has a short film called Wash. I will put a link below so you can check that out. I did watch it. It's 10 minutes long. And he's very talented. I love the way this film looked, and it also had a good story about substance abuse. So yeah, I'll put a link for you guys to watch Wash in the info box. And thank you, Daniel. Now, I know Sony's reputation with their use of Marvel and Spider-Man villains, it's not that good. We've had Madam Web, we had Morbius, Morbin Time. The joke it's old and it's too easy at this point. Like, you can't even say Kraven Time now because everybody says it, right? So I'm not even going to say Kraven Time. That's what Sony has done. They've created this joke. And I'm not going to lie. I did not go into this movie expecting it to be good. After the mess that we've had with the previous few movies, and I'll even say this right now. The Venom movies, I think, for those who really like them, they're far overrated. Even the first one. The first one's okay. It's serviceable. It's fun. 2 and 3 are equally as bad as these other off-brand movies, you know, Kraven and Madam Web, Morbius. I think Venom 2 and 3, they fit nicely right in that bundle of shit. To give Kraven a little bit of credit, just a little bit, some are going to say that, you know, this is the worst of all the bunch. And I don't think it's the worst. I definitely think, I can't tell you which one's the worst, if I'm being honest, because they're all so bad. These movies are just really tough to get through. And that's part of the problem with, I think, all of these movies is you're kind of in this fog when you're watching all these movies. And maybe that's just when you're watching a really bad movie to begin with. To me, anyway, I don't think any of these movies are just like so bad they're good. Even Kraven. Kraven was tough to get through. Yes, there is some rated R violence in the movie sprinkled throughout. But despite the avalanche of problems that this movie does have, one of the biggest is it's boring. And it's a sludge fest to get through. And I think a big reason for that is because you just don't care about what's going on. You don't care about the characters. And there are moments where you're going to laugh at what's being said because the script is completely preposterous. But you know what? I'm jumping ahead of myself. Let's get into a quick plot synopsis. I like to give every movie its fair shake. This is the origin story of Kraven. His real name is Sergei Kravinoff, his father. Played by Russell Crowe. Let's just say this is his origin story, and we're going to be introduced to a variety of characters throughout. If you remember in that trailer when the lion's blood dripped into his wound, this movie does rectify that because no, that's not how he gets his powers. There is this potion by this character named Penelope that he comes upon, and she gives him a potion to keep him alive. And so that's how he gets all his powers. And I don't have a problem with how he gets his powers and his powers in general. It is a little silly to watch his powers, in action, especially when he's like jumping up buildings and whatnot. And that's just because of the CGI. The CGI is definitely a little shaky at points. This is also the Faramir Boromir story because he's got this brother who's pretty much the opposite of him, of type. And his father doesn't like that. His father wants him to man up, to be more manly. But his brother is not that. He's more of a gentle type person. And that does play a factor into the whole story, especially once you get towards the last act and all that. You can kind of see it coming from the brother because he's different. Kind of like how Loki is different from Thor, even though Loki is a completely different character than his brother Dimitri. I didn't say his name. His name's Dimitri. Yes, you do have Rhino in this movie. He looks ridiculous by the time he fully rhinos out. I think there's too many villains in this movie too, because then you got Christopher Abbott, who I was just like, wow, Christopher Abbott's in this? What's he doing in this? Did he just kind of walk onto the set by accident and they just said, hey, let's use him in the movie? He's got this kind of weird power where he puts the victims in a trance or something like that, and then instead of being in front of them, he's like behind them, tapping them on the shoulder, whatever. The pacing's really off because this movie spends way too much time with the younger version of Kraven, played by Levi Miller, who was in Better Watch Out. That's where I recognize him from. But all he does is kind of whine and mope. This movie just doesn't have a really good ebb and flow to it. It doesn't grab you at any point, and I think that's what the best movies do. Early on, they grab hold of you and they keep you interested in what's going on from scene to scene. Doesn't matter how many characters there are, like Dazed and Confused, right? You could watch Dazed and Confused. That movie has 1,000 characters and somehow you are entertained by every single one of them. And I know that's a horrible comparison to this movie, but I'm just talking about characters in general. But yet, a movie like this can have, let's say 20 characters, and you don't give a flying fuck about a single one of them, including the main character. All you can kind of do is sort of chuckle along the way at some of the dialogue. The dialogue is just horrible in this movie. It's laughable. It's atrocious. To give a little bit of credit, the opening of the movie is the best part of the movie. That opening, I guess they gave you 8 minutes last week. Yeah, that's your best part of the movie. I think that scene was well structured, and I sat up in my chair. I was like, oh, this might be okay. And that's when I already knew the onslaught of critics just bashing the shit out of this movie. But, that first 8 minutes, I was like, if this can stay the course in what it's doing, kind of like a John Wick superhero type movie, then we might have something here. But quickly after that scene, it just falls flat on its face. And I think the story is trying its hardest to be interesting, but I think the movie takes itself way too seriously. And you know what? For as much shit as we give the MCU, even lately, and I do think that the comedy can get out of hand at times, this movie needed that. It definitely needed a little bit more comedy thrown in, maybe even being self-aware, because this movie is definitely not self-aware at all. I think oftentimes when you're shooting a movie and, way before the finished product comes out, maybe you think, oh my God, this is really good stuff that we're shooting here. Good performances and whatnot. But then when it's all edited together, maybe it was an editing problem. When it all comes out, it's just laughable. I've heard some comparisons to The Room. Yes, this is kind of The Room of comic book movies. And after all that, my biggest issue, bored out of my freaking mind. That was my problem with this movie. I could not wait for it to end. It way overstayed its welcome. And I've stated this many times. Out of all the mistakes a movie can make, the worst it can make is to bore the hell out of me. If you bore me, I'm done with you. I hate you. And that I hated this movie. And it's a shame because there are some action moments in it. There's some blood in the movie. Not as much as I would have hoped to at least keep me entertained. But I don't know. Maybe that's not the problem with the movie. I just don't know. It's hard to find a proper rhythm for movies. And this movie just failed miserably. And it's a shame because there's definitely some talent, on screen. There are some fine actors in this movie, but you gotta have a good backbone. You gotta have a good script. You gotta have a good story, And this movie does not have that. So, my rating for this, thankfully there's a little bit of fun action in it. I'm going to give it a 2 hours loss, but this movie damn near was a looped in hell. Will this be the last Sony Marvel movie? No, surely not, right? Because they got Spider-Man still. They're not getting rid of Spider-Man. So I don't know how that whole thing's going to work because Marvel borrows Spider-Man. I don't know. Are we going to get more of these, I guess, live-action superhero movies outside of Spider-Man? I guess that's my question. I don't think so. After this, they freaking killed themselves. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think of Kraven. I did see a few of you stating that you had a decent time with this movie. And, guys, if you did, I love that. I love that you... This is just my opinion. I'm not trying to tell you you're wrong if you like this movie. I'm glad you liked it if you liked it, okay? I never want to come across that way. I get passionate about my opinion of any movie. And sometimes it can sound like I'm trying to tell you that that's how you should feel because of my passion. No, this is just me, my opinion of the movie. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Also be sure to come over to Kill Flicks where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays we do Free for Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums on my social, support me on Patreon, become a channel member, buy me a coffee. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and Drumdum out.